as well as Christian interests, right? Representing the... Remember that the Israel lobby is composed of both Jewish interests as well as Christian interests, right? Representing...
This guy's... God, dude, I'm not going to make it through this video. Okay.
The Jewish interest is something called AIPAC. And they have a membership of about 100,000. But they're very wealthy. There are many billionaires in this group. So this group has financial power. In fact, AIPAC is considered the second most powerful lobbying organization in the United States. The first is the pensioners, okay? There's about 30 million of them. And their lobbying organization is the most...
It's like Riverside. No, this guy is like, he's like I call him the Gary's economics of geopolitics.
Powerful.
Because everybody saw some video like a year ago. It's like, oh my God, a year ago he said we might be going to war with Iran? How could he possibly know?
AIPAC is second. But also in the Israel lobby are the Christian Zionists, right? So for example, the organization Christians United for Israel.
You see Congressman Burleson claiming Trump was briefed on human/alien hybrids. It's peak Republican insanity, good for the laws, but emblematic of the route of their autism base.
Israel has 7 million people in its membership. So 7 million Christians United for Israel has 7 million people in its membership. So together, the Christian Zionists and AIPAC are an extremely powerful force in government. And they want a war in the Middle East in order to advance Israel's interests. Also remember that America is now addicted to empire, because empire represents easy money. All money.
You know what? Fuck it. All right, state your case.
Hey, so I just kind of figured
I'm gonna get rage baited. I'm ready
if
to
you're
get rage
in
baited.
public, right, you're kind of making up the idea that we're doing it every single day. If you're only coming there once, like how can it possibly be that you're harassing somebody? You just happened to be there when they were there.
What about the people that work there?
I mean, that's true. If you're to come
So
back...
the argument that you just made was a complete BS argument, right? So for the workers that are there, if they were doing the exact same thing to the workers, you would still defend that the exact same. So it doesn't matter how much they show up, right?
No, I mean, if they're going to show up to the same business every single day and film those workers, that would probably constitute as harassment.
Wait, why? Isn't their First Amendment right to film in public if it's a public place?
I mean, it's like a repeated thing that every single time you mention that you would be following somebody around or if you would be doing it every day, I just didn't see that happen in the videos that you were watching. I didn't, see that intent in the filmers. They were just there to potentially, as far as the people being quote unquote harassed knew, to get some B-roll for some, documentary they were filming or something. How could they know?
So if they went back a second time, would that be harassment?
I'm not really sure. I don't particularly know the laws on harassment enough to say how many times it would take.
Well, I mean, do you feel like it would be harassment, or do you feel like it would be if they went back a third or fourth time, or?
Well, like, do my feelings really matter?
Why, isn't that what we're talking about right now?
I thought we were talking about whether it was legal or not. And usually, like, feelings don't matter whether something's legal or not. Right?
I don't know what the laws are on this. I think I've said that like 20 times. It feels like it would be harassment or something. I don't know. I haven't looked up any of the city ordinances or statutes. Nobody's linked me any.
Oh, well, actually, fair enough. I don't disagree with that take then. If we were just talking about feelings, then, I mean, yeah, we could say whatever we thought, whatever we feel like. So, yeah, that's fine.
Do you feel like 3-year-olds are hot?
Has to be channeled through the U.S. And so there are many people in the U.S. who just basically make their money by speculating on money, okay? So for example, Wall Street. And that has made Wall Street extremely powerful right now in U.S. politics. And the third force is Saudi Arabia. Remember that in our discussion of Saudi Arabia, we learned that the major conflict in the Middle East is actually not between Israel and Iran, but between Saudi Arabia and Iran. For Israel, Iran is a security threat because it supports Hezbollah and Hamas. But for Saudi Arabia, Iran represents a threat to its very existence. Okay? So Saudi Arabia must resolve the Iran problem soon. Right? Now, how these three forces manifest themselves is through Trump. Okay? So basically, Trump is your champion. And privately, there's a man named Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law. He's married to Trump's favorite daughter, Ivanka Trump, okay? And Jared Kushner happens to be very good friends with both Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the leader of Israel.
Am I the only one that feels like he's not actually in front of a real class? I felt that initially too, that this was a fake recording, but I think at some point students either say something or you see them leave, because I asked that. I felt like it's just a guy in front of a whiteboard trying to make it seem like he's in front of a class.
As well as Mohammed bin Salman, who is the leader of Saudi Arabia. Now, Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner, was a very prominent sponsor of AIPAC. In fact, when Benjamin Netanyahu comes to stay in the United States, he lives with the Kushner family. So one night, Benjamin Netanyahu had to stay in Jared Kushner's bedroom, and Jared Kushner had to sleep in the basement. Okay, that's how close they are. And Jared Kushner is friendly with MBS, the leader of Saudi Arabia, so friendly that when Jared Kushner started a private equity fund, Saudi Arabia invested $2 billion. Okay, so through Jared Kushner, these three forces are able to exert influence on Trump. As we also discussed, it's very likely that Trump will become president of the United States again in November, and he will pick Nikki Haley as his VP. And that means that Nikki Haley will be the one in the Trump White House pushing for war against Iran. As we discussed, Nikki Haley makes most of her money from the Israel lobby, okay? The anti-Iran lobby. We know from the first Trump administration that these forces are able to exert tremendous influence on Trump, okay? And the evidence is, one, Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal that would have secured peace between the United States and Iran, okay? Trump moved the United States embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in Israel, which was a major, which caused major friction in the Middle East, okay? We also know that Trump ignored the fact that MBS killed a journalist, okay? So we also know that Trump has been very friendly with Saudi Arabia. We also know that Trump sponsored the Abraham Accords, which is trying to bring peace between Israel and other Arab countries and unite them against Iran, okay? The last thing that Trump did, which is the most important, is that in January 2020, Trump ordered the assassination of General Qassam Soleimani, who is the leader of the who is the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Okay, so from all this, we can suspect that in a second Trump term, war with Iran will be a major priority. Okay, so is this clear so far? All right. Now, we also discussed that, okay, even though there are these forces that want war with Iran, ultimately it is the U.S. military that must implement this war. And if the U.S. military refuses to go to war, then the war can happen. So we discussed that, unfortunately, the U.S. military is very different from what it was 30 years ago. Okay? 30 years ago, the U.S. military maintained very standard military doctrine. Okay? They maintain three very important principles that all militaries must maintain in a time of war. The first is mass forces. B is...
I got it. Oh, wait. Am I sleeping? No, I don't even know what the... this is just like standard conspiracy brain. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Like, talking about like Jewish and Christian, like Jewish means religion the same way that Christian means religion. And when you say Jewish and you're talking Middle Eastern politics, you're almost always talking about the ethnic group of Jews in this country of Israel. But maybe you can say that. I don't think Soleimani, I don't believe he was the leader of the entire IRGC. I think he was just the leader of the Quds Force. Somebody in KickJap pointed that out. Because the Quds Force is like, that's like their international fucking terrorist branch, basically. I don't think we killed Soleimani just because we hated, or because we wanted to go to war with Iran. I'm pretty sure we killed him because because that guy was fucking murking U.S. troops for like a decade, I think. I'd have to go back and check. I don't remember how long he was in charge of all that. I don't think Kushner started that hedge fund alone. The one that MBS did that $2 billion investment. That wasn't just him starting it. I think it was just, I don't remember what the equity he had in it was, but it's not like his sole investment firm or that he was getting money from it. I can already tell it's just going to be like an amalgamation of like statements that are like generally true with like some crazy narrative to wrap it all up, but okay.
Standard military doctrine. Okay, they maintain three very important principles that all militaries must maintain from what it was 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago, the U.S. military maintained very standard military doctrine. Okay, they maintain three very important principles that all militaries must maintain in a time of war. The first is mass forces. B is avoid encirclement, right? And the third is protect supply lines. Now, the important idea is that when you fight a war like this, okay, which is traditional warfare, you must have the consent of the public, okay? Because it is the public that sends soldiers, that provides money, that gives you political support. But in 2003, the US military changed its military doctrine to one of shock and awe. Okay, and what shock and awe means is that you don't have to follow these three principles anymore. You can use air supremacy. You also have technological omniscience, and you also have special forces. And this allows you to fight wars cheaply, quickly, and decisively, so that you know.
I haven't studied. Hold on, I'm so sorry. 1 second.
What it was 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago, the U.S. military maintained very standard military doctrine. Okay, they maintained three very important principles. The U.S. military maintained different from what it was 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago, the U.S. military maintained very standard military doctrine. Okay, they maintained three very important principles that all militaries must maintain in a time of war. The first is mass forces. B is avoid encirclement, right? And the third is protect supply lines.
Is that a military doctrine? The doctrine of avoid encirclement? What about like 4, don't let your soldiers get shot? Okay. So now we don't care if our soldiers get encircled? We no longer worry about that? And we don't care about supply lines? Is that? I don't know. Okay.
But
sorry, whatever.
You can use air supremacy. Means is that you don't have to follow these three principles anymore. You can use air supremacy. You also have technological omniscience, and you also have special forces. And this allows you to fight wars cheaply.
Like I don't know enough to say that he's wrong, but this sounds retarded to me. Did we just invent special forces in the past, couple decades? Were there no special forces in World War II or anything? Was that not the case? Was there no air superiority in World War I, World War II? Did Israel not have air superiority in the Six-Day War? Was there no technological advantages up until 30 years ago? Was that? I don't know. Okay.
Quickly and decisively, so that you no longer need public political support for fighting wars. And as we also discussed, this created the idea of hubris in the American military. So the American military, because of the 2003 war in Iraq, are confident they can win any war, any place against any enemy. We know that this doctrine is actually not true. And we know because of something called Operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay? So a few months ago, the Houthis, which are a rebel group in Yemen, they started to attack ships in the Red Sea. Okay? And a lot of trade goes through the Red Sea. So the American military dispatched a massive naval force against the Houthis. Were the Americans able to defeat the Houthis? No, they were not. And so what are the Americans?
Okay.
The Houthis, which are a rebel group is actually not true. And we know because of something called Operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay? So a few months ago, the Houthis, which are a rebel group in Yemen, they started to attack ships in the Red Sea. Okay? And a lot of trade goes through the Red Sea. So the American military dispatched a massive naval force against the Houthis. Were the Americans able to defeat the Houthis? No, they were not. And so what are the Americans going to do about it? What can they do about the Houthis? What's the solution to this problem? You have these pirates, the Houthis, going around and attacking these ships, which is affecting international commerce. And that's why inflation is such a huge problem right now in the world.
Like the Houthis are not just like pirates, right? This is like a well-established family-turned government that has been active in Yemen for decades. It's not just like a couple of wacky pirates. What's dead may never die or whatever.
What's the American military going to do about this? What can they do about this? The answer is nothing. Okay? The American military has no solution. Why? Because
we have plenty of solutions. If we wanted, we could just nuclearly obliterate the entirety of Yemen. But I mean, our goal is not to defeat. The United States has never tried to defeat the Houthis. Well, you could argue as part of the 2016 to 2019 campaign with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia kind of tried, and we did a lot of drone striking and stuff there. But in terms of our deployments to make them stop attacking ships traveling the Red Sea, our goal there was not to destroy the entirety of the Houthis. It was to just like blow up basically attack sites that were shooting at ships.
Don't have the forces necessary in order to undertake an operation against the Houthis.
No, I just don't think we want to do a full-on ground invasion of Yemen. I don't think that's the goal. What?
They have special forces, they have air supremacy, they have technological omniscient satellites, but they don't have infantry. They don't have lots and lots of ships. Therefore, they cannot stop the Houthis. Okay? And what's really important is that Joe Biden has come out and therefore the technological omniscient satellites take an operation against the Houthis. They have special forces, they have air supremacy, and they have technological omniscient satellites, but they don't have infantry. They don't have lots and lots of ships. Therefore, they cannot stop the Houthis. Okay? And what?
Like, we don't. Wait, hold on. Let me check real quick. I'm so sorry. I forget sometimes. Fuck. Is Yemen an island, or does it share a massive border with Saudi Arabia? Oh, it does. It does share a huge. Okay, okay. So, I think you can walk into the country, right? You don't need ships. Also, how far south is how far south does the southern Yemen government own? Like, does the North? This is North. The North Yemen government is the one we consider friendly, right? Do they still own the southern part of this area, like where the, like to the like south of Taiz or whatever, or Sana'a? No, fuck. This is the capital city, right, of North Yemen, South Yemen. Where's the map? Who's got the map? Yemen, Wikipedia. Wait. Okay, green I think is the current Ansarullah government, right? The Republic of Yemen, I think, is who we consider our dudes. Red, yellow, orange. Okay, that's okay.
What's really important is that Joe Biden has come out and said that, yes, we know we are losing the war.
Like, yeah, hold on, I'm curious. When he says, okay, I'm sorry, this comment is bothering me so much. When he says we don't have enough ships, is the implication that, like, the Houthis would beat us in like a pirate ship battle? Is that what he's saying? Or does he just mean we don't have enough ships to transport our people? Or does he mean we don't? I'm just so curious what he meant by that comment. I'm sorry, this is living in my head rent free right now.
And attacking these ships, which is affecting what do you do about it? What can they do about the Houthis?
I'm so curious what he meant by that.
What's the solution to this problem? You have these pirates, the Houthis, going around and attacking these ships, which is affecting international commerce, and that's why inflation is such a huge problem right now in the world.
Look at the topography of the Yemen-Saudi border. Shut up, I was making a meme. I'm pretty sure it's like fucking all mountains, isn't it? In the northern part of that Yemen part. You probably couldn't march troops there. So I was being facetious. But we can transport troops into fucking Yemen. That's not the issue, right?
World. So what's the American military going to do about this? What can they do about this? The answer is nothing, okay? The American military has no solution. Why? Because they don't have the forces necessary in order to undertake an operation against the Houthis. They have special forces, they have air supremacy, and they have technological omniscient satellites, but they don't have infantry. They don't have lots and lots of ships.
What does he mean when he says lots and lots of ships? I just want to know what he means when I'm so curious about that. Okay.
Or they cannot stop the Houthis, okay?
Okay.
And what's really important is that Joe Biden has come out and said that, yes,
like, does he think we can, like, oh, I'm just so curious. I'm so sorry. Does he think that we couldn't stop the Houthis in the Red Sea because they have, like, they're beating us in the ocean? Like, they have more boats than us with, like, cannonballs, and they're, like, fighting back the U.S. Navy? Is that what he means? I'm so curious what he means by that.
No, we are losing the war in the Red Sea. And yes, we know that we cannot stop the Houthis, but we are going to continue on this path. Okay? Does that make sense? This is the idea of hubris. Not knowing your limitations. And when you are faced with your limitations, you refuse to accept your limitations.
I wonder if he said the same about Russia with Ukraine. Just kidding.
Okay? And that's why when the U.S. military is given the order to invade Iran, they'll probably go along with it because they cannot imagine the possibility that they could be defeated in Iran. Okay? And then you have the Iran Revolutionary Corps, okay? The Revolutionary Guard. And as we discussed last class, they want war with the United States because they're very angry about U.S. interference in Iran, right? So during the Shah regime, which was a...
It's actually Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, not Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. But...
brutal police state from 1953, and the U.S. interference in Iran's class. They want war with the United States because they're very angry about U.S. interference in Iran, right? So during the Shah regime, which was a brutal police state from 1953 and then 1979, the Americans were the ones who were backing this police state. So there are many who are angry about this. They're also angry about the fact that the U.S. continues to protect Israel and Saudi Arabia. Okay? And they're also angry about the fact that Trump killed General Soleimani. Okay? And as we discussed, it's possible that the Revolutionary Guard Corps killed last week the president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, because he was preventing war. Okay? So they want war with the United States. So you see the map, right? You see the logic of this, where there are powerful forces in the United States pushing the United States towards war. You have Trump, who has basically agreed in his first term to raise or increase escalation with Iran. Within the Trump White House, there'll be Jared Kushner and Nikki Haley to push this war, both privately and publicly. The U.S. military has so much hubris that they think they can win this war, and Iran wants to provoke the United States into invading it. Okay? And the United States and Iran can have many, so Iran has many.
Okay, so just to be clear, almost all of this guy's predictions were fucking completely wrong, okay? Kushner and Nikki Haley are not involved in the current White House. Iran explicitly tries not to provoke the United States, right? Hey, we're bombing the base in Qatar, letting you know. Hey, 2 hours. Hey, there's still some troops. You want to move them? Oh, okay. All right, hey, we're bombing you now. Okay, hey, just letting you know. We bombed you. Sir, there was no damage. We obliterated that base, and now we're done, okay? So basically, every prediction this guy made was basically wrong, but okay, this is literally the future teller. Okay.
Strategies in order to provoke the United States into war. Okay?
Gotcha.
Basically, the United States is looking for a reason, and Iran wants to give them a reason. And that's why I think war between the United States and Iran is very likely in the next 2 to 4 years.
Especially because if Iran wanted to provoke the U.S., that would be the easiest fucking thing in the world. Just start arbitrarily bombing U.S. bases. Just start shooting everything. Why would you? That's such an easy thing to provoke. And it's Donald Trump. You could literally fucking... Donald Trump's like the easiest guy in the world to provoke to do anything.
Okay, any questions so far? Are we clear about where we are so far before I move on? Any questions? Okay, so now let's talk about the actual war. So here, most of this is speculation, okay? But I'm using speculation in order to help us better understand what a war would look like, okay? So let's pretend that it's March 2027, okay? And Trump goes on TV. He announces Operation Iranian Freedom, a full-scale U.S. invasion of Iran, along with Israel, Saudi Arabia as its main partners. But
wait. Would Israel and Saudi Arabia do a joint military operation? Is that are we ready? Are we at that stage in the world where that would happen? Maybe a lot of progress has been made in the last 2 decades. The only frame of reference I have for this is in that I remember. This is one of the reasons why Netanyahu and Israel were so ass-pained about Saddam Hussein was in the Second Gulf War. Saddam Hussein was like lobbying Scud missiles over into Israel with the dream of drawing Israel into the war because Saddam Hussein's idea was, well, if Israel joins, all of the Arab states are dropping out because fuck that, because they hate these motherfucking Jews. And I remember when Israel got scudded, I think Bush explicitly said, fuck off. Like, you guys just need to sit here and with your thumb up your ass and, eat shit. You're not allowed to join this war because if you do, okay, Abdul and Al-Jamali are going to fucking hate us. So is there ever a world where Israel and Saudi Arabia are doing joint military operations, especially with the ongoing Palestinian thing? I don't know. Inshallah, brother.
But United Kingdom, UK will be involved. Australia will be involved. UAE will be involved.
You think we're going to get... You think Trump is building an international coalition to do anything, let alone to invade Iran? I don't even think we could get the rest of the world to support us that much to just bomb their nuclear fucking facilities.
Poland will be involved. Okay, so you have many countries attacking Iran together.
As Poland flies all of its troops over a burning Ukraine to go and fight a war in Iran. Okay.
And Trump goes on TV and explains to the American public why the United States is fighting this war. Okay, and this is what Trump says. First, he says that for the past year, there have been violent protests in Iran. You have religious protests, you have political protests, you have ethnic protests. The Iranian people are sick of the Ayatollah. They are sick of the dictatorship. They want democracy. They want freedom. And in response, the Revolutionary Guard are killing thousands of protesters. Iran is on the brink of civil war. Therefore, the United States has an obligation to protect the people of Iran. Okay? The people of Iran are praying for freedom and democracy, and the United States, the world's greatest democracy, must give them democracy. Okay, so the first
I think like the year 2001 called and they want their talking points back. What the fuck?
reason is freedom and democracy.
How could you make this? What about the fucking collapsed Syria for the past decade? Why didn't we go in? If this was such an easy thing to do, why weren't we involved in Syria? And that has so many implications for everybody. For whatever argument you could have made, like if you were asking me to predict if we were going to go to war with somebody, I feel like Syria is a way easier buy, no? We could make Turkey happy. We could make Israel happy. We could piss off Russia. We could, like, it gives us better, it's just better for everybody in terms of our interests, would be my guess. I wonder why we didn't just fucking fuck shit up in Syria. Probably because the rest of the world be mad at us. Maybe? Maybe? Hold on one second. Need my water, 1 second.
Second,
Jesus.
U.S. intelligence, along with Israeli intelligence, have discovered that for the past 2 years,
Weapons of mass
Iran
destruction.
has been working very, very hard on developing a nuclear bomb. In fact, Iran is only 1 month away from having 3 nuclear bombs, so that New York City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles could all be destroyed. Okay? So to prevent this, we must strike first to stop.
Imagine you're a Jew and it's like, fuck, we just found out Iran got nukes. They've launched them. They've launched the nukes. We're finished. All of West Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jaffa, one of those. No, sir. Actually, they're going to LA, San Francisco, and New York City. Oh. Thank you, God. What? Okay. Yes.
Stop Iran's nuclear program. Okay? Third, Iranian proxy.
Regarding the Houthis, I think he's saying the U.S. current approach to combating the Houthis with limited strikes will never be successful because of the way the Houthis operate, and we aren't willing to risk a full-scale war because of the impact on global shipping. No, we don't want to risk a full-scale war because Yemen, there's like fucking 40 million people that live in this country, and this country has been in civil war for like a century, and the people there are starving, and it's fucked. It's a fucked situation, and there's already a ton of international like humanitarian crises. With regards to the last time, less than a decade ago, we were involved with Saudi Arabia of just bombing Yemen. The terrain is vicious. The people that have been fighting there have been fighting for a long time. It would be like a protracted Iraq or Vietnam 2.0 with no clear military objectives, with no clear government to step in and rule over all the people after. Like, it would be a clusterfuck of a massive scale. It would just not be good. It would be so clusterfucked. So it's strange that, like, for instance, did our strike on Iran fail because we didn't defeat Iran? Well, no, our goal was to blow up the nuclear bullshit. So the strike was successful. The goal of the Houthis was not to destroy all the Houthis. It was to disable whatever missile launch platforms. So far as that is concerned, I think our strikes were successful. They might be able to build more and keep deploying shit. But I mean, it's hard to combat stuff like that. I love to say, but if I had to nuke one city in America, it would still be Miami because of the girls on Fresh and Fit.
The Houthis.
Base?
Hezbollah, many groups have been disrupting shipping in the Middle East, in both the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz. 40% of the world's oil passes through that region, mainly to East Asia, China.
Can they get all the way around to the Strait of Hormuz? Is that true? I thought the Houthis were just fucking shit up in the Red Sea. Houthis, Strait of Hormuz, maybe? I like how I spelled it wrong. Yes! Yes! Is he mixing it up with Iran? Iran did the like the, are they called limpet mines or whatever? That was them a while ago, right? I've never heard of the Houthis attacking stuff up there, but I don't know. I mean, why am I saying I don't know? I don't trust this fucking guy for anything. I feel like he's made too many weird mistakes, but whatever.
China, Japan, South Korea. Our global prosperity is at stake. We must go to war to protect these shipping lanes and ensure that the oil goes to China, Japan, and South Korea so that they can continue their economic prosperity. So the United States, as the world hegemon, has a responsibility to protect global prosperity. Okay?
Yeah, that's definitely a Trump line. How could he be so wrong? Bro, this guy was the Nostradamus that predicted everything. The United States has to protect global trade. And also, the U.S. is isolationist and we're abandoning NATO. We have no obligation to help Ukraine and everybody can fend for them fucking self. Like, okay.
4, Iran has been launching attacks against our allies, Saudi Arabia and Israel. Hezbollah has been violently attacking Israel, killing dozens of Israelis, innocent Israelis. The Houthis have been attacking Saudi Arabia oil fields.
Oh, God.
Damaging the economy. We have an obligation to protect our allies, our friends in the Middle East, okay? And the last reason is we know for a fact that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is a sponsor of...
It's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. I mean, I've made that mistake in the past, but I'm also not marketing myself as a college professor with the channel Predictive History, but okay.
Terrorism. Last week in a mall, there were gunmen who went and killed 107 people. Our intelligence says that it was most definitely an Iranian operation. Okay? So for these 5 reasons, we have decided to invade Iran. But don't worry, this invasion will be successful because we have a lot of allies. The UK, Israel, Saudi Arabia, all friends will be part of this operation. Our special forces are already in the country looking for their air bases and their missiles. We can knock them out at the beginning of the war. Also,
we don't know where they're the secret air bases that we don't know where they're at. Where are you in? We're in Iran. All right, what are you guys doing? We're looking for the airports. It's like, guys, we got Google Maps, okay? We typed in airports Iran and we found them. Fuck. What are we doing here, sir?
We have been in contact with Iranian opposition groups. They want to overthrow the regime. And when we help them, they will install democracy in the country.
Okay.
Our American military is the greatest in the world. In 1991, our military defeated Saddam Hussein in 100 hours. In 2003, our military defeated Saddam Hussein in less than 3 weeks. To prove that we are the greatest in the world, we will defeat Iran in only 2 weeks. So do not worry. We will be strong in protecting democracy, freedom, and global prosperity. Okay? So that's what
Also, hold on, I'm sorry. Is he implying we would lose in a war against Iran? Because I think we would beat them in like 2 weeks. Uh-oh, am I falling for the hubris trap? I'm pretty sure Iran found out their nuclear facilities got bombed on fucking Twitter when Trump was truthing it out. The Khomeini guy, I don't know how to pronounce guys, Khomeini was probably like, what's Trump tweeting about airplanes flying back? And the guy's like, sir, there's a reason. We just figured out why we can't get a hold of Falfo. What's wrong with Falfo? They're dead. That place is fucked. What?
Trump will say to the people of the United States, okay? And of course, you're going to have large-scale protests throughout the country opposing this war. But most people in the country will support this war, okay? All right. So after the speech, the operation is launched. And on TV, we'll watch this on TV and the internet together, on YouTube together, okay? And we'll be so impressed by the power of the US military. This is Iran. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Saudi Arabia. Israel is here. Red Sea is here. Iraq is here, okay? So in the Strait of Hormuz,
what are we doing? Sorry.
Hormuz of the US military. This is Iran. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Saudi Arabia. Israel is here. Red Sea is here. Iraq is here. Okay? So, in the Strait of Hormuz,
okay. Yeah.
comes the USS Gerald R. Ford. It's a $13 billion super carrier. Okay? This thing is designed to destroy countries. It is now prowling the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that shipping is safe.
Do you think we could? I actually don't know how much could fit. It's a decently big strait, right? You could probably fit Strait of Hormuz. Is there like a deep sea limit on? I don't know. I truly don't know. Can any ship in the world go through this, or is it? It should be able to, right? Like it's deep enough for anything, right? I don't know what the clearance. I have no idea. Tankers can go through. Okay. Why don't I just pipe it all out?
America establishes air supremacy very quickly, okay? Meaning it has complete control over the skies.
Okay.
Nothing can move in the skies without America detection, okay? And then a massive invasion force is sent to Iran in the south. 100,000 U.S. troops land, maybe 200,000 Saudi Arabia troops land, okay? Maybe you have 200,000 to 500,000.
Not the Saudi Arabian troops. Oh no.
Troops in Iran. And they are about to strike Tehran in the north, okay? So in the south, the United States and its allies have established a foothold. They have a huge presence in the country, and they're about to attack Tehran, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you understand what has happened?
Got it, sir.
Okay. Now I want to ask you this question.
Yes.
At this point, I think the war has been decided.
Okay.
Who has won the war?
Now, you want to say you'd think the U.S. would win due to overwhelming air superiority, the ability to destroy literally every single installed defensive platform on the ground, the ability to have an overwhelming technology advantage, and the ability to crush this country on like 6 different levels. That is where you would be wrong, because you didn't think about the camel fighters fighting with scimitar with their souls.
America has established air supremacy. It controls the skies. U.S. Navy controls the seas. You have 100,000 U.S. troops in country ready to strike Tehran. The war has been decided. Who has won the war? Okay, obviously this is a trick question. Obviously Iran has won the war. Why?
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Why?
1, there are mountains, and most U.S. troops come from the Midwest, where there are no mountains, so they're a natural enemy to U.S. infantry. 2, Iran has a lot of clouds. Clouds are a natural enemy to airplanes. 3, no rivers. Our supercarriers can't get into Iran, and they will get stuck.
What's the problem with this plan? Okay, this is typical American doctrine, shock and awe. This is how they fight wars. But there's a problem with this plan. What is it? Why would the Iranians want this?
The Iranians want this because, okay, fuck, there's so many different ways that the conspiratorial mind can go off. The Iranians want this because it'll turn the whole Muslim world against us and make everybody hate us. The Iranians want it because we'll get mired down, something to do with Iraq and Vietnam. The Iranians want us to do this because they'll just straight out win. I have no idea. Fuck me, I don't know. Tell us.
Okay, let's go back to traditional military doctrine, okay? In traditional military doctrine, you have 3 principles, right?
3 principles, okay.
Mass forces, avoid encirclement, protect supply lines.
Okay, mass forces. Okay, they got a lot of people. A lot of people live in Iran. I have no idea how big their military is, but they got a lot of people. True, number 1. Avoid encirclement, okay? They won't get encircled, and protect supply lines. Home field advantage, baby.
Okay? These are 3 things you must absolutely obey if you're going to war, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So using traditional military doctrine, explain to me why the United States has lost the war right now. Exactly. First of all, they're encircled, okay? You know why? Because Iran are all mountains.
No, I was kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't mean that. No, I'm just joking. Hold on. Before he gets into this, and I'm sure he's like half joking, okay? To encircle the enemy is when your troops have encircled the enemy and like cut them off from supplies and the ability to coordinate with other forces and everything, and it's best like strategic. That doesn't just mean there's like stuff like geography around you, right? But he's not being literal here. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Exactly. First of all, they're encircled, okay? You know why? Because Iran are all mountains. It's a fortress, okay? Meaning that to get these troops into the country, you have to airdrop them. right? But guys, once you're in the country, you can't get them out of the country. You understand? Okay, so that's the first problem. They've been encircled, right? What's the second problem?
They can't actually go.
No supply lines, guys, because they can't get up to the mountains.
Why not?
Like it's too heavily defended.
Not why not? Because they got too many people. It's like 100 million motherfuckers in this country, bro.
That's right. And why else?
And, like it's very hard to bring like tanks and equipment to mountains.
Yeah, that's right, okay? So they failed to mass forces, okay? Iran is a population of 90 million people. You will need at least 3 to 4 million soldiers.
What? Is that the math? I'm sorry. I'm not.
To even think about conquering the country. They've got 100,000 in this country, okay? And as Jack says, you can't move tanks through mountains. They're not designed for mountain warfare. What are you going to do? Okay? So they can't mass forces, and they've been encircled, and what else is the problem? And this is the biggest problem.
What's the biggest? No supply lines, because the supplies can't go through the mountains.
Exactly. They cannot be resupplied, okay? They have no supply lines.
The mountains and the clouds.
For them to be resupplied,
They would have to airdrop in. They would have to airdrop it in. And we've used all of our airdrops in Gaza, dropping crates on civilians and killing them with them. So we have no more supplies either.
have to drop ammunition, food into the country.
Like it's fucking Vietnam.
But again, Iran is all mountains. So it's very easy for Iranians to shoot down the airplanes. Does that make sense? When you pass through mountains, you can't see what's on the ground.
What? Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, just as a quick thing. Also, please, I'm laughing. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Like, air supremacy, the least important thing about air supremacy is controlling the sky. That's my understanding. The most important thing about air supremacy is that you control the ground. That's the big deal about air supremacy. If you control the skies, that means that you can bomb the fuck out of anything you want, oftentimes at too great a range to even be countered. It means that you can fuck with enemy positions. You've got infinite reconnaissance. You can do targeted strikes on supply. You can do anything you want. Once you've knocked out all of their anti-air shit and you control the skies, your ability to terrorize people on the ground that's a huge thing. It's not just so like you can shoot down the enemy planes. And when you are fighting for enemy planes, it's because they want air down so they can shoot your ground troops, right? It's not just like we're going to use planes to shoot at all the other planes. And now that we've got air dominance, they can't fly any planes to shoot at other planes. Like,
for Iranians to shoot down the airplanes. Does that make sense? When you pass.
Also, talk about being wrong on this one. Jesus. Where did our how many B-2s did we lose in the mountains when we went to bomb?
Planes have to drop ammunition, food into the country. But again, Iran is all mountains. So it's very easy for Iranians to shoot down the airplanes. Does that make sense? When you pass through mountains, you can't see what's on the ground.
Like, it's what? It's what?
A random guy with a rocket launcher can just shoot down the helicopter, okay?
What? We lost a whole squadron of F-35s. What happened, sir? The goddamn man pads. Is that what they call them? What do they call they got them. They got them, sir, from the ground on the camelbacks. The camel riders with the recoilless rocket launcher. They got all of our F-35s.
Which is what the Afghans did against the Soviets in the Afghanistan war.
In the 70s? When was the Afghan Civil War? What is it? How is it even remotely 80s? This started earlier, didn't it? Wait. It was 70s, right? For the Afghanistan conflict. When the Soviets were trying to keep their dude there, and the Afghan people were like, no, we were. By the way, if you don't know, this is where we sent in the CIA to go and train Osama bin Laden from birth to be a anti-American murderer. They made a documentary on it. It's called Salt.
And that's why the Soviets lost the war. A drone can take down any airplane.
The Soviets lost the war because rocket launchers against helicopters.
The rocket launcher can just shoot down the helicopter, okay? Which is what the Afghans did against the Soviets in the Afghanistan war. And that's why the Soviets lost the war. A drone can take down any airplanes, okay? So, in other words...
I'm getting trolled! I am getting trolled! This is a troll! I'm getting trolled right now! This is the guy that's he's going to be on Joe Rogan. You want some geopolitics predictions? Within 1 year, within 6 months, this guy will be on Joe Rogan, he will be on Lex Friedman, and he will be on Piers Morgan in a one-on-one interview on a debate. There's my geopolitics predictions. If it hasn't happened yet, 6 months, and he will be on those 3 shows, okay? There you go. Clip it.
Words. These guys are trapped. You think they're soldiers, but they're not.
Stop, there are no camels in Iran? No camels in Iran? What are you talking? Next, you're gonna tell me what? There aren't any Arabs in Iran either? What do you mean, bro?
What they really are hostages. Okay? In other words, these guys are trapped. You think they're soldiers, but they're not. What they really are hostages. Okay?
What? Can somebody make I want an AI movie of our, like, the airplanes are, like, flying, and it's like, what's ahead? We can't see. There's mountains everywhere. And then the shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. Don't worry, we're dropping in our... How many troops do we drop in? 500,000. Only 500,000 paratroopers? Sir, we need at least 4 million. It's a population of 90 million people, and everyone has a gun. Fuck. Did we get any supplies in? We can't, sir. With the supply airdrops are all getting shot down and coming through the mountains. There's no goddamn roads into Iran. It's impossible. They have no port access anywhere in the entire country. It's impossible to get anything in. There are mountains everywhere. We're encircled. We're trapped, sir. There's enemies all around us. Oh, enemies? What kind of enemies? The mountains.
Does that make sense? You have too many people in the country, so you can't get them out of the country, but you don't have enough people to actually launch a strike against Tehran. You can't resupply them. And they've been encircled by Iranian forces.
Which are the mountains.
All right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? Okay. Now, the logic of having 100,000 US troops in the country is that once in the country, all the resistance to the regime will rise up and strike against Tehran. The Iranian army will mutiny against the country. Okay? That's the hope. Why do we think this won't happen?
Because when you get attacked by an enemy, you want to fight the enemy.
Why won't the Iranians revolt against their government?
Oh, because remember, teachers, it's like a test. You got to go back to the beginning of class. So many sort of probably relevant. You're saying, well, because the Americans already did regime change with the Shah in the 50s, and they didn't like that. So they're going to resist it this time. That's got to be the answer. I'm a great test taker. I have the 190 IQ when it comes to taking tests, okay? That's got to be the answer. Come on, teacher.
Why don't they want to revolt?
Come on. Look, I'm going to come.
That's right. Okay, so Iranians hate Americans, okay? Remember that Iranians remember the Shah.
Yeah, I cummed! I'm the master test taker, bro. Give me a test at any subject. If the test is long enough, I will figure out the later answers from the beginning ones, okay? You always start at the back, so I start reading all the questions, okay?
From 1953 until 1979,
Yeah.
the Shah, the American-supported Shah, was running a brutal police state. So brutal that everyone in Iran revolted against the regime, okay? That's number one. Why else would the Shah, the American-supported Shah, was running a brutal police state. So brutal that everyone in Iran
I don't know if it was quite that unified, but okay.
revolted against the regime, okay? That's number one. Why else would the Iranians not support the Americans?
What's the other reason? Okay, we got that. Did he give another reason? Because they might lose. They would be trapped, encircled by the mountains as well. Israel. AIPAC. Israel. AIPAC Jews. Israel, AIPAC Jews. Israel, AIPAC Jews.
Why?
Israel. Because Israel would be part of
That's
the...
the first reason.
Israel.
Iran has a bad history with America.
And
Why
Israel.
else?
Maybe Saudi Arabia. But Israel and Saudi Arabia. Israel, AIPAC Jews. But also maybe Saudi Arabia. Come on.
Guys, which country's next door? What happened in Iraq? America destroyed Iraq, right? From 2003 into 2011, America was there destroying the country. America said that it would bring freedom, democracy. It would bring prosperity. It would bring wealth. But instead, it just destroyed the country.
You know what? We need to look up what's going on in Iraq these days. I truly have no idea. Is it actually fucked right? I truly have no idea. I don't know.
American soldiers were running into houses every night, pointing guns at children, destroying homes, and arresting men for no reason, okay? Iranians saw all this on TV.
Yeah, they were probably cheering.
They heard about all this from neighbors, okay? So they know that.
What I feel like I read stories about this, the Maliki guy, the guy that we first put there, was like fucking traumatized from the Iraq-Iran war. And like, we're like, all right, we banned. Bush came in and he said, no more. If you were in government before, or any part of the country at all, you're not allowed to be there again. okay? Bad boss spank, okay? And then the whole new Iraqi government was like, okay, well, we were a whole bunch of people with no experience now because you banned all the other people from ever being a government. And they got this dude, the Maliki guy, and he was like, all right, it's day one. What are you going to do? I'm going to drive as many things as I can over to Iran because I know that the U.S. is going to cover me because they just fucked this whole country up, and I'm going to go and harass Iran at the border. And I'm pretty sure he did this like fucking immediately. And I think we got him to fucking chill eventually. But I think this guy's early life, he was like traumatized in some Iran, or some Sunni Shia bullshit. I don't remember. I have to go look it up. But I think the first dude was initially unhinged. But I think Iraq and Iran, from that war, at least onwards, hated each other for at least a little bit. I don't know. They're modern. I don't know enough about these countries yet.
That if America comes, it's just
wrong. Destiny. Maliki is the most pro-Iran party. Not party. The first. I don't know if he was president or prime minister. No.
destroy the country, not to bring freedom, democracy, not to bring prosperity. It's to destroy the country.
True.
That's why they're going to fight.
True.
Okay. And another reason is
that was the wrong one. Sorry.
Iranians think that they belong to a great civilization. So they value their freedom and independence. Okay, does that make sense? They're not going to submit to a foreign conqueror. So, why else would the Iranians resist?
They don't want to be a puppet state. Oh, Saudi.
Also religion, right?
Oh, yes.
The Iranians are religious.
Wait. For the Drake meme, is there like a sound effect with that, or is it just a GIF? I need like an oh. I need like an oh sound effect. I don't have any of that. Like, oh shit.
Believe that America is Satan, and they have a duty, a religious obligation to fight Satan. Okay. So for many reasons, there's just no way that Iranian people are going to stand with America. You might have a minority, but most are going to resist.
Okay.
Okay.
Especially the mountains.
Okay. So does that make sense? Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So that's a great question. Why would the Americans think that the Iranian people will rise up? And the answer is that they need to justify the invasion. Okay, does that make sense? They have to have a logical explanation for why this invasion will succeed. Because one of the criticisms against them will be like, you need 4 million people to invade Iran. They don't have 4 million soldiers. They have at most 1 million soldiers, okay, total throughout the world.
The whole world.
They have about 60,000 in the Middle East. So they can't get 1 million soldiers. So the only explanation is, okay, well, we're going to pretend that once we invade, the people of Iran will support us. You understand? Mm-hmm. So it's not based on truth, but it's a explanation for why the invasion will succeed. Does that make sense? Oh, that's a great question. Okay.
What was the question?
That's their propaganda.
Yeah.
But do they actually believe this? And the answer is
the answer is hubris. They're retarded. And Israel. Hubris and the Jews.
Okay.
AKA Jubris.
They do believe this.
That's when the Jews make you so arrogant, they gas you up and make you think you can do anything just to further their interests.
Because they have hubris. And again,
Jews.
It's hard because we're not in a position. But once you're in that position where you have access to nuclear weapons, when you can kill anyone in the world, when you can see everything in the world.
What do people claim this guy predicted? This video got 1.3 million views. I'm pretty sure they got this like in literally the past 2 weeks. People say he predicted the entirety of the current conflict because at one point in this video he says we'll be at war with Iran, and then we bombed Iran. Go figure. So now people are like, this guy's an actual fucking Nostradamus, bro. Nostradamus. He fucking predicted everything. In the last 30 days, this channel picked up 326,000 subscribers. His channel has 343,000 subscribers.
World. It makes you think you're God. Okay? And we remember, like, last semester we were reading the Greeks. And the Greeks believe the worst thing is hubris.
Oh.
Because it makes you think you're God. But you're not God. And you're going to get into a lot of trouble if you think you're God. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Any more questions?
Why do the U.S. think that Iran will use their nuclear bomb if they create one? Because many countries have it.
Why is there like one person in this guy's class? Is it his wife? His mom?
Okay. So, Trump says that Iran is 1 month from developing a nuclear bomb, right? Mm-hmm. America's been saying this for the past 10 years. Okay? You just Google this, and America's like, oh, Iran is only 1 month away from a nuclear bomb. They've been saying this for the past 10 years.
Okay.
So do you understand? When Trump gives a speech, there's absolutely no evidence that any of this is true. Okay? But this is how he'll explain the invasion. Okay? All right? And chances are that even if Tehran possess a nuclear bomb, they won't use it. Why not?
Because if they nuke someone, then they'll get nuked.
That is America a reason to use it.
Oh, second guy.
That's right. The reality is that there's only one way that America can win this war against Iran, okay?
And that's if the people rise up.
Just nuke the country.
Oh.
And America,
Okay. Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Base?
will do that if it has enough, if it has a pretext, okay?
Well, nuke. Why we're gonna nuke them?
Is that there's only one way that America can win this war against Iran, okay? They can just nuke the country. And America will do that if it has enough, if it has a pretext, okay?
Okay.
So nuclear weapons is something that Iran is very afraid of, okay? So does it make sense? All right. So
Okay.
this becomes, so American soldiers are trapped in this country, okay?
Yeah.
So now the question then is, wait a minute
How do we get out? What do we do?
here. Why would America do something so stupid as send 100,000?
Jess, please hold on. Okay, I'm edged. I need to get like a splooge cannon. Please, God, bring in APAC and the Jews here. Please, God, you can do it. Please, 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 you can do it. I know you can do it. Please, please.
Soldiers into
Balls are so blue right now. Please.
the country for no reason and get them trapped,
Because
okay? So that's the question. And what I want to do now is make you the argument that there are
or is it so we have an excuse to nuke them?
two ways that we can
Nuke them.
prove or provide evidence that this is true, okay? The first is
never
historical analysis. Historical analysis means that are there historical examples like this? Okay? Are there historical analogs? If there are, then this could be true, okay? The second method is through game theory analysis.
Okay.
Why would the actors who are rational do something as stupid as trap 100,000 American soldiers in Iran? All right? So we'll first do historical analysis.
Okay, well, historically, it's identical to Vietnam. Everything. You know that one quote? Everything is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Everything in geopolitics is about Iraq, except Iraq. That's about Vietnam. Did you know that?
Define historical analogs, examples that are similar to this. And then we'll look at game theory to try to reason out the motivation of the actors.
Okay.
Okay, so let's first look at game theory. Oh, sorry. Let's first look at historical analysis. Okay, so the year is 415 BCE, okay, in Athens.
Okay, my bad. Fuck me. I fucked up.
Remember that we studied Thucydides, the Peloponnesian War, last semester, okay? So we will now discuss the Peloponnesian War. The year is 415 BCE.
Hold on, I'm retarded. Did that war actually happen, or is this like one that was dramatically over-exaggerated from older writings, the fucking Odyssey or the Iliad or whatever? That was a real war that happened, right? It did. Okay.
And for the past 17 years, Athens have been fighting a brutal war against Sparta. Okay, it's a stalemate.
If I had to answer yes to his question, does this make sense? So he could stop talking to me, I would call myself LOL. Excuse me, bro. Be appreciative.
And then for whatever reason, a man named Alcibiades, okay, has a suggestion. Okay, and his suggestion is to win the war against Sparta, let's go invade Sicily. And Nicias, his opponent, is like, why the hell would we want to invade Sicily? It's far away. And Alcibiades is like, well, because it has a lot of money. And if we invade the country, we can take their money. Okay? And it turned out...
Oh, this is like in Game of Thrones when Olenna sends all of the forces to the Lannister place, but then the Lannister army goes to the one place and they beat them.
In this argument, the people of Athens really support the
Highgarden.
argument, okay? Because the reason why is war was
Casterly
costing
Rock,
a lot
whatever,
of money.
yeah.
And they become addicted to the easy money of empire, okay? So they want to fight this war. So Nicias has this great idea of how to convince people not to go to war, okay? And what he says to the people is, okay, guys, I know you want to fight this war. I know that you think this war is a good idea, but Sicily is a huge place. It has a navy, Therefore, we need a massive expedition force against Syracuse and Sicily, okay? We need at least 5,000 soldiers. That's a lot, okay? Because the total Athenian population is about 50,000 people, okay? 5,000 soldiers is a lot for Athens. And we need about 100 ships. And the idea is Nicias is trying to scare people into not agreeing to not fight, okay? That's the idea.
Okay.
The Athenians say, that's a great idea. Let's send a massive force against Sicily and Syracuse so the war can be won just like that, okay? Shock and awe. So the problem, though, is that never before in its history has Athens sent a large expedition force against another power. Okay? Does that make sense? When the Persians invaded, they were invading Athens. Athens didn't go invade Persia. So when you have sent a massive expedition force against another country, what is your number one problem? What is the thing that you must resolve? But the Athenians didn't really think about it because they had absolutely no experience in fighting a foreign war.
Other people's land, like other people out in the world.
Okay. So the enemy knows the terrain better than you do, okay?
Yeah.
But there's actually a much bigger problem than that.
Okay.
And it is what?
What?
How do you supply the soldiers?
Okay, the biggest problem is resupply. And this is something that the Athenians didn't think about because they never thought, they never fought a war like this before, okay? So they sent this huge expedition against Sicily. And Syracuse, which was a naval power, were surprised because they were like, why would the Athenians want to invade us, okay? So for the first year, the Athenians were destroying the Syracuse army. And the Syracuse army had to retreat back into their city, okay? And so the Athenians laid siege to the city. Okay, the Athenians, Syracuse is here, the Athenians are here. And the Athenians control the sea, right? Okay? So this situation is very similar to this situation, okay? Do you understand? But then what happened was that the Athenians couldn't resupply themselves. And the reason why is Syracuse had also had a navy, and they could stop the Athenian navy from resupplying the Athenian troops. And therefore, the Athenian army was wiped out in Sicily. And this caused the Athenians to ultimately lose the war against Sparta, and it caused the Athenian empire to collapse.
Okay.
Okay? Do you understand? And again, historians have been trying to figure out for a long time why the Athenians would do such a stupid thing as to send a huge army against Syracuse. Because the risk of failure was catastrophic. Okay? And the only answer is, well, the Athenians had hubris, okay? They never really lost a war, and they had become addicted to empire, which is the same situation America finds itself in today. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? All right? So this has happened before in history.
Okay.
When the Athenians invaded Sicily and lost to Syracuse. Their entire army was wiped out in Syracuse. Okay? Because they couldn't resupply their army. Does that make sense? All right. The second example we can look at is the Vietnam War.
Yes! Okay, we got there. Half come.
So in the beginning of 1960, okay, the beginning of the decade, most Americans have never heard of a country called Vietnam. Okay? Most Americans didn't know what it was, didn't know where it was, okay? By the end of the decade, in 1969, 500,000 American soldiers were in the country, destroying everything, okay, but also getting destroyed themselves. 58,000 US soldiers died in Vietnam. So the question then is, how did this happen? Why would this happen? 1960, Vietnam was a distant country no one's ever heard of. By the end of the decade, 500,000 US soldiers were in country fighting this war against an enemy they really didn't know. Okay? In 1971, the Pentagon Papers came out.
Oh my God.
And the Pentagon Papers was a history of America's involvement in the Vietnam War dating back to the 1950s, okay?
Okay.
And it made three major points. The first point is that American leadership, military leadership, has been expanding the war in Vietnam without public knowledge, okay? This is what we call mission creep. So maybe at first they sent some observers to the country, then they sent some advisors and trainers, then soldiers, okay? So mission creep. Slowly over time, things escalate. And you don't really understand why things escalate, but they do, okay?
Is that the definition of mission creep? I don't know if things escalating is considered mission creep. I thought mission creep is when you are in an area and then your objectives start to evolve over time, not necessarily because of an escalating situation, but just because you're taking on more and more shit. So for instance, I think mission creep was a huge criticism of Iraq and Afghanistan because we toppled the leader, but then we decided afterwards, like, let's rebuild the whole country. That was like a big mission creep, like that objective. Like it was obvious that the country needed help afterwards, but we didn't even, it just didn't seem to be something planned for, like goalpost shifting. If you get involved in a war and then the war is escalating, I don't know if I would consider that mission creep, but okay.
Second point is that American leadership, from very early on, knew the war was unwinnable.
Why? Really? Fuck, I haven't read the Pentagon Papers for Vietnam or whatever, but
This was the greatest military in the world. They dropped more bombs in Vietnam in the 60s than all bombs were dropped in World War II, okay? And they could not win the war. And the reason why is, to win a war, you have to solve 3 problems, okay? The first problem is
kill all the bad guys.
clear strategy, okay?
Oh.
What are you trying to accomplish in this country? What are your clear military objectives, okay?
That's to avoid mission creep.
Second is you must adapt to the battlefield, okay? Because all your best plans will change over the course of a battle, okay?
Okay, this guy is just making shit up. There's no way that there's like a fucking, there's no textbook on this shit where it's like, these are the 3 things that you have to keep. This is like, there's no way. I don't believe this. Through all of our military analysis, there's 3 things that all of your soldiers need if you hope to win a battle. The first is high morale. It's important that your troops are in good spirits. The second thing you need is a good supply of rubber for tires. And the third thing that you need are good retirement benefits so that people join your military and they're willing to do their full contract and retire afterwards. He's just like picking random things. There's no shot that in any type of fucking textbook or widespread analysis, like, what's the important thing? Well,
Military objectives, okay?
adaptability is important. What?
Okay? Second is you must
Remember to provide your soldiers with fire pits.
adapt to the battlefield, okay? Because all your best plans will change over the course of a battle, okay? So the adversary that is most willing to adapt to the battlefield will win, okay? And the third thing is the will to fight. So,
What are these?
well, if you want to look at a war,
Like, these aren't like, none of these are wrong. It's just there's no way these are like the 3 things.
who's most likely to win the war, you ask these 3 questions. 1, does this guy have clear military objectives that everyone understands? Because that will determine strategy, okay? Second is this guy adapting to the battlefield? And the third is this guy, does this guy still have the will to fight?
Like, I feel like number of artillery shells would trump all 3 of these. So I feel like, does this guy have airplanes and missiles? I feel like that would trump all 3 of these. Or like, is this guy's people starving to death? I feel like would trump all 3 of it. But, you know, does this guy have boats?
If the answer is yes to all 3 questions, then the person will most likely win the war.
What if the answer is yes on for both sides?
Okay, and if you look at the Vietnam War, even though America was killing a lot of people, it killed 3 million Vietnamese during the course of the war, it was not destroying the enemy's will to fight. In fact, it was making them angrier. And therefore, more people were willing to fight the Americans. Okay? So very early on, the American political leadership knew the war could not be won. So then the question then is,
Because the more you killed them, was it like 28 days later rules or whatever? The angrier they got, the undead would come back.
why did America stay in the war? And the answer is credibility. Okay? Credibility just means they didn't want to lose face. They didn't want to be laughed at by the Chinese and by the Soviets and by the Europeans, okay?
Wasn't there also like a massive international First World versus Second World Cold War conflict going on where we didn't want to lose influence in other countries? Or is it really just...
But there's actually another way to understand credibility, and it's what we call the sunk
Cost fallacy?
fallacy.
What?
Okay? Have you guys
This is the most random assortment of things on a dry erase board.
heard of the sunk cost fallacy? And the idea is,
Also, I like how the 3 things that you need to win a war, I feel like they would at least be reflected in like the three things that of like military doctrine or whatever, but there's just like no overlap at all. Like,
never ever go into a casino. The reason why, fallacy. Okay? Have you guys heard of the sunk cost fallacy? And the idea is never ever go into a casino. The reason why is that when you go to a casino and you start losing money, at some point you cannot leave the casino. Why not?
You feel like you've lost so much, so now you have to make it back.
Exactly. You want to reclaim the money you've lost, okay? You've invested so much that you cannot leave. You have to get that money back. And that's the problem with war. Eventually, you've invested so much, you cannot leave the war. And that's what happened in Vietnam. America invested so much, it didn't want to.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to get like real pedantic, and I will with this guy at this point, because this is fucking retarded. This is not really the sunk cost fallacy. My understanding of, and I shouldn't even say this, I should just fuck this guy. The sunk cost fallacy has more to do with the idea that time that you spend, okay, the problem with the sunk cost fallacy is when you're trying to evaluate from an investment perspective, okay? Let's say that we invest $100,000 in some asset, okay? Let's say that we invest $100,000 in some asset, and let's say that we watch this asset price like do this, okay? And then let's say that there's another asset, and let's say that that other asset price, fuck, I want to draw like I was gonna say a derivative, but I don't need to, I guess. Let's say there's another asset that we can invest in that, like, I guess it looks like this. I don't know if this necessarily makes sense, but the sunk cost fallacy is when you're evaluating where your efforts should be spent, technically, assuming there's not tax, whatever bullshit, anybody that, well, actually is me here is getting, okay, IP banned. When you're evaluating where your money should be spent, the evaluation should always be strictly prospective. Retrospective doesn't really matter, right? Let's say that somebody says, okay, I have $50,000 in my AMD stock and it was worth $100,000. I can't sell now. Like, I can't sell. I'm fucked, bro. I've invested so much money in this. I can't. Like, it has to come back. And it's like, well, why not just like put it, like, it's still going down. Why not just put it in something else that you know is going to go up? Bro, 100,000. I have 50,000, right? The question when you're trying to get somebody to figure out, like, are you sunk cost fallacy mind fucked right now, is take a step back. Let's say that you didn't have $50,000 in AMD right now. And let's say that you had $50,000 in cash. Forget the $100,000 you invested initially. Sell it, have $50,000 in cash. Would you put that same $50,000 into AMD, thinking it'll go to $100,000, or would you put that $50,000 into something else that you think is more likely to go up? And I was like, obviously it would go immediately into something that's more likely to go up. It's like, okay, that's the sunk cost fallacy. You're using a retrospective analysis to influence your perspective, to influence a decision that you should only be making prospectively, because the prospective outcome has nothing to do with the retrospective loss. Right? The markets don't care that you lost half your investment. That's not going to influence the thing going forward. The sunk cost fallacy doesn't really map cleanly onto like a war like this, because if you invest, $10 trillion in some war and it hasn't gone great so far, like, it might be that you got to cut your losses and leave, sure. But it's not like you'd be like, okay, well, let's imagine that we could just invest in another war right now and let's go do another one. It's not really the same type of thing. Like, sunken cost is not always fallacious, right? There can be a legitimate sunk cost in a thing that makes it worth sticking around in. But when it comes to investments or stuff that you can only evaluate prospectively, that has an independent outcome that's not tied into any retrospective stuff, well, then it's fallacious to assume that going forward you should consider where you came from, right? But for war and conflict, it doesn't really map on like that, I am being nitpicky with this guy now, so fuck this guy.
To lead the war, because he did not want to admit that all this has been lost. Okay, it's what we call the sunk cost fallacy. And that's why, even though America could not win the war, it still wanted to fight the war. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so the Vietnam War is another example, okay, that is similar to this, where America invests enough soldiers that it refuses to lead the war and admit defeat. Okay, does that make sense, guys? All right. Now let's look at one more example, and this is the most recent example, and it's the Russian-Ukraine war. Now, As you know, in February 2022,
The U.S.-backed coup. No, wait, I'm sorry, that was 2014.
Putin ordered a
Special military operation, he's going to say.
special military operation against Ukraine.
Don't do the denazify thing. Don't put that all there. That's too much. Don't do it.
Okay? And this is
Okay.
Ukraine. And Russia attacked from 3 axes. Okay, the north to take Kiev, the capital. You have the east to take Donetsk. And then you have the south from Crimea to take the south, okay? And as we know, the north failed, okay? The north attack failed and the Russians had to turn back.
Because they didn't have what? So did they lack their 3 things? They didn't adapt to the battlefield. They didn't have the will to fight, and they didn't have cha amigo. Or what is this? CG stamp. What was this again? Clear objectives. Oh, okay.
But the east and the south was successful.
He must bring in some of his prior analysis to make sense of this, right? You have to bring up the 3 things. They have to bring up the 3 things.
Okay? Now, let's think of this. You have an extremely powerful military attacking your country, the Ukraine.
Oh, or maybe they tried this one instead of this one. They went on the right instead of the left one. You have to bring up some of your prior analysis. He'll do it.
If you were the Ukrainian president, if you were the Ukrainian military, there's really only one way you can fight this war and win. And what is it?
Adapt to your terrain and will to fight.
Using traditional military doctrine. How much you fight this war? You guys know?
Dude, come back here.
Yes! Let's go
Let's go.
back to mass forces, avoid encirclement, protect supply lines. How much?
Mass forces. I don't think they had. Did they have to? The Iranian army have more people ready to mobilize right there? Avoid encirclement. Well, I think they failed that immediately, right? Because weren't they getting attacked on all sides? Does that count as being encircled? Not technically.
You fight this war. There's only one way you can fight this war.
Okay.
Excuse me? How do you disrupt supply lines? There's only
How do you disrupt supply?
one way you can fight this war and win.
Grow mountains. Grow mountains. Mountain seeds.
And what is it? The enemy is attacking you, right? So what must you do?
Defend. Attack back. Counterattack.
Okay. The answer is you must retreat.
It's like a random answer every time. He's like, the answer is you must make sure your soldiers get 8 hours of sleep a night so they're at maximum performance.
Okay? Why? The enemy is attacking, right? So you pull back your forces.
Okay.
Why would you do that?
So that you can adapt to the terrain, it's got to relate to your answers here, right?
What's the logic of that?
Supply lines. Oh, shorter supply lines. Shorter supply lines, sir.
Exactly, okay? It's that simple, okay? You want to overextend your enemy. Ukraine is a huge country,
Yes.
right? And Russia didn't send out that many soldiers, maybe 160,000. That's not that many soldiers.
Not
So
even
if you
close
just
to
give them
enough.
space, they're going to outrun the supply lines, okay? And then when they outrun the supply lines, you can encircle them and you can disrupt their supply.
Yes.
And that's the only way you can win the war, okay?
Did they encircle the Russian supply lines in the beginning? I thought the Russians overextended and their tires fell off because they were fucking old and...
What did the Ukrainians do instead? That's the only way to win this war. But what did the Ukrainians do instead, which made them lose the war?
Fucking retards. What did they do? They didn't adapt to their terrain. They didn't encircle them.
So the Ukrainians refused to give up space, okay? They refused to give up land. They want to fight the Russians for every inch of territory.
Weren't there Russian tanks in Kyiv on like day 2? Am I making that up? I thought I saw videos of...
And eventually, because the Russians had more forces, mass forces, they were able to push through, okay?
Okay.
That's the first major mistake that Ukraine made.
Idiots.
But then last summer, Ukraine launched something called a
Don't you know the first thing you have to do is give up all of your territory?
counteroffensive,
And
right?
then you can fight with your reinforced...
So once Russia was able to take space, because Russia is a land army, it started to develop fortifications, defenses, okay? Mainly artillery. And that's 3 lines of defenses. And in the summer offensive, the Ukrainian military, for whatever reason, sent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of soldiers against this artillery, and the Russians blew everyone up, okay?
Duh.
Now, here's a question. Why are the Ukrainians doing this? They've lost the war now, right? They have no more soldiers. Right now, the average age of the Ukrainian army is about
It was like 49 years old.
it's over 40 years old. They have guys in their 60s and 70s fighting in the
On the
military.
front lines, but you didn't know that, did you?
They don't have enough.
Now he's making fun of it, but frontline soldier, okay, huge rucksack, carrying multiple M249s. You can't have a normal soldier do that. You can have a dude in an electric wheelchair doing that. That guy is a actual literal battle tank. Plus, one of the things that's beneficial to these guys on the front lines is before when you send them out there, you chop their legs off. And then that's like 20% of the calories that this guy would consume per day. You don't have to feed him as much. More compact for trenches, smaller targets for enemy soldiers.
Manpower. The war's lost. Why?
Easier for medics to pick up and carry them off, or for some of the frontline Ukrainian soldiers, what they would do for a lot of the handicapped dudes that are fighting in their 60s and 70s, they just swap them out and they stick them in one of these bad boys.
Make sure to
Fuck. This one.
Japan is truly living in the 2050s. They've invented.
Wait.
Japan is truly
Ukraine.
truly living in the 2050s. They've invented this automatic wheelchair that takes you and your luggage to your gate with just a few taps. No more walking for miles.
They have this in U.S. airports now, by the way, but and in the Ukrainian front lines to bring back the 70-year-olds.
Why would the Ukrainians do this? First of all, why would they fight for every inch of territory? And why would they launch a counteroffensive against a superior enemy? What's the problem? Okay, the first
They're trying to do this one. They're trying to do the fight on the right instead of the left.
is the president, Zelensky.
It's corrupt and hubris.
The
Hubris.
guy's a TV actor.
True.
Okay? Which means that he doesn't
Hubris.
think strategy. He just thinks what looks good on TV.
True. Fucking true.
So for the first 2 years of the war, we're watching this on TV, right? And it looked as though the Ukrainians were going to win this war.
Yeah, and remember the first 2 years when it looked like for 2 years they were going to win? I remember that.
Right? I remember like 2 years ago, people were saying that the Ukrainians are going to march to Moscow and overthrow Putin. People were saying that. Okay? And the reason why is that Zelensky is a
He's on TV. He's an actor. He makes it look good. But he's not actually winning the war. He just looks like he is.
master of public image manipulation, okay? He was distorting reality for people through television. The problem with that, though, is it's not reality, guys, okay?
Yeah.
The reality on the ground is very different from TV, okay? So who else is like Zelensky
Donald Trump.
in this world? Trump is exactly like Zelensky, okay? Do you understand?
And because Trump is like Zelensky, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't see her there. Hey. Oh, I'm sorry. I just stepped on this fucking cat. I'm sorry, I haven't. Well, rip. Gee, man. Because Trump is like Zelensky, that's why we're gonna get stuck in Iran. Holy shit.
Understand? Trump is also concerned about what looks good on TV. He's like, I must look strong. We must look as though we're winning this war. He doesn't really care about strategy, okay? So, because of this, it's very likely that he orders a land invasion of Iran because it would look good on TV,
Yes, I got it. But he's not thinking strategy.
okay? So, the problem with Zelensky is he cared about what looked good as opposed to actually what actually worked, okay? But you also have other problems, like you have extremists
The Nazis. Are we gonna get there? Oh my God, I'm about to come.
in the Ukrainian military, okay? And
Nazis.
guys,
Azov, Nazis.
these extremists, they're
coming.
Nazis, they're neo-Nazis.
Come. I need my splooch. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't step on you that time. You just got mad because I shouted. Come, get the cum cannons.
And so, the traditional understanding of Nazis are people who kill Jews, okay?
Okay.
But the Russians don't understand Nazis that way because remember, Germany and the Soviet Union fought this war. So the Russians understood Nazis to be enemies of Russia who want to kill Russians.
Oh. And that's going to make the Russians fight even harder.
And there were many neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They hate Russia. They want to kill as many Russians as possible.
As many as possible. True.
Okay? And they're the ones who are pushing for as much war
And controlling Zelensky.
as possible. Okay? So you have these extremists in the Ukrainian military. Okay? Now, last reason is NATO. So it's an open secret that NATO is helping
Why does he say it like that?
NATO, Ukrainian military. Okay? Now, last reason is NATO. So it's an
NATO. He sounds like XQC saying. Why does he sound like this?
Cheeto.
Why does he sound like this?
Okay? Now, okay, so you have these extremists in the Ukrainian military. Okay? Now, last reason is NATO. So it's an open secret that NATO is helping the Ukrainian military against Russia.
It's an open secret? Did we just publicly announce all of this was going to happen? How is that a secret? What part of this is secretive? What does he mean by help?
You have NATO military advisors devising strategy against Russia. Okay, so it's most likely that the summer offensive last summer was a NATO plan and not a Ukrainian plan. It's possible.
Oh,
We also know that NATO special
Oh my God. Oh shit. Hold on. I'm about to triple come. Please God. Hold on. I'm about to triple. Hold on. Please God. Say that NATO special forces, which isn't, that's not a real thing. NATO special forces blew up the Nord Stream 2. Oh my God. I'll actually come canon on stream. I will come on stream 100% if he says NATO blew up Nord Stream 2. He's not going to say that though. He's gone somewhere totally different though, and I'm totally wrong.
forces are in the country directing missile strikes against Russian forces. Okay?
Okay, never mind. God damn it.
Which means what? If this is true, and if
I don't know what that means. NATO special forces are directing missile strikes against Russian targets. I don't know how true that is, but okay.
Ukraine loses the war, meaning that it doesn't have enough soldiers to continue to fight this war, what will NATO do?
Nuke Russia.
Yeah. I mean, according to what happened to Vietnam War and
We have to ground invasion.
Expedition against Sicily, it is most likely that the most likely outcome will be that NATO sends its own troops against Russia.
Oh, what the fuck? Kill me. I want to die. Kill me. This guy is the master predictor.
Okay, so Macron of France have said that we want to send French soldiers, and the British Prime Minister has said that he's considering conscription for British people.
Yeah, to send them to Ukraine? Okay. True.
Which means that
Yes.
young British citizens will be
We'll be dying for America in Iran. Or, whoops, I mean in Ukraine for NATO.
drafted into the army to fight Russia. All right?
That's a goddamn
So
crime.
these are three historical examples that are very similar to what could happen in Iran. Okay, does that make sense, guys?
What? That's he just cited a historical example that hasn't happened? Are you allowed to do that? Allow me to cite the historical example of a hypothetical scenario that absolutely could never come true and absolutely will not come true, but
All right, any questions?
and our historical examples were Vietnam, the Peloponnesian War, and I guess in the other multi-universes timeline where Britain conscripted soldiers to go and fight in Ukraine.
Questions before I continue.
No questions, sir.
All right, is this clear so far? All right. Now let's use another mode of analysis called game theory analysis, okay? And this is what I've been teaching you
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
this semester. And the idea is that society, what happens in the real world, is a game among human beings. Okay, and each person is trying to play this game as to optimize the outcome for that person.
Yes.
Okay, so the question then is, why would the United States send 100,000 troops into Iran? So let's look at the individual motivations of the individual players, okay?
Oh my God. This is my longest 2-hour long edge. If we can get back to APAC and Israel. Hi, baby. I'm so sorry. I will never step on you again. Ugh, she's gonna hate me. Whatever. Just keeps walking in and out of the room. It's kind of schizophrenia.
So you have the United States. What does does the United States want to do?
Help the Jews and Israel. Help Israel. Help Israel. Help Israel. Please say it.
What does it want to do?
Please say it. Please say it.
By doing what?
Israel.
And accomplishing what?
If you
It wants to topple the regime in Tehran, right?
Okay.
And you can
fine.
only do that through a ground invasion, okay?
Yeah, true.
So the United States is trying to topple Iran.
Okay.
But then you also have other actors.
Oh shit, we're getting there. It's coming. It's coming. Oh ho ho. Hold up. What did this man say?
Topple the regime in Tehran, right? And you can only do that through a ground invasion, okay?
What did he say?
So the United States is trying to topple Iran. But then you also have other actors, okay? So Iran. What does Iran want to do?
No.
What does Iran want to do? Or basically the Revolutionary Guard Corps. What do they want to do? Should we? They want to kill as many Americans as possible, okay? Do you understand? They want to force an American land invasion, okay? So Iran wants to force a US invasion, knowing that if the US invades, it has to lose the war, okay? It will lose the war.
Okay.
Because the Revolutionary Guard can just send suicide bombers against the United States, okay?
What is it? What? Not the suicide bombers? No, the U.S. Army could never. Well, to be fair, we are trapped and encircled by mountains with no supplies, and all of our F-35s getting blown up with rocket launchers from Camelback and scimitars thrown at our drones. Oh, and our planes getting shot down by drones. Fuck.
Now let's look at Israel.
Yeah!
Okay? We know that the United States
Yes!
toppled Iran. We know that Iran wanted to force the US invasion to defeat
So that
the Americans, to humiliate the Americans, and exact revenge
He's
for what
getting it.
happened in the past.
And-
what does Israel want to do? What is Israel's optimal outcome? You guys know?
how optimal could it be? Let's think for a moment. Iran toppled.
If you're Israel,
The United States mired down in an
what do
extended
you want to
war.
happen?
I want the U.S. at war forever with Iran. Yes. I want Israel. I want America.
Okay.
Long
So
war.
you want Iran defeated, okay?
Yes.
And then what do you want to happen? You want Iran defeated, you want the Proxies defeated, and then what do you want to happen?
Regime change. Regime change. With U.S. popped
You want
up.
the United States to stay in the Middle East?
Yes. Like Iraq. Right?
What happens if the United States? What happens if the United States and Iran both lose the war? I mean, Iran is destroyed as a country. The United States is destroyed as a military presence in the Middle East. What would happen?
Then the U.S. can't protect Israel anymore. Israel get destroyed.
Israel becomes the top dog in the Middle East. Do you understand?
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. We went into. That's even harder. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Israel can now control the entire Middle
Oh,
East. So the
shit.
ultimate outcome for Israel is
They destroy
Iran
each
and
other.
the United States are both destroyed. Okay.
Yes.
You understand?
That's why they want to take us in.
Saudi Arabia. What is their optimal outcome?
Israel gets nuked.
Exactly the same as Israel. Exactly. Okay. You understand?
Yes. Holy.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Which will leave the Middle East to Saudi Arabia and Israel. But Israel is a far superior military than Saudi Arabia. Okay. Remember, it's very easy to blow up Saudi Arabia. They have oil fields. Okay.
This guy's be trolling. This can't be real. This is not a real person. This is AI. Stop. This is not real. This cannot be a real person. This is an AI. It is being. This guy's gonna be a Lex Friedman in 30 days. This guy might have already shot his Lex Friedman episode. This can't be a real person. There are so many great sound clips from this. What is this?
Okay? Which will leave the Middle East to Saudi Arabia and Israel. But Israel is a far superior military than Saudi Arabia. Okay? Remember, it's very easy to blow up Saudi Arabia. They have oil fields. Okay? Not that easy to blow up Israel. So Israel becomes a top
Because they have nothing.
dog. You understand game theory? In other words, all the major participants want an invasion of Iran. Okay? But they want different outcomes. And Saudi Arabia and Israel most benefit if this situation happens, where you have 100,000 US troops in the country and they can't get out, okay? Because it becomes.
I want to do this. I feel like I could do like a whole. I should pick like Asia or something as well, and then like I get like 30 minutes to browse the first paragraph of every Wikipedia of every country in Asia in the past like 50 years of war, and then tie it all together In Asia, there are three things that determine who wins. One is who has the coolest looking armor. Two is who has been nuked the least by the United States. And three is how many people you killed with communism.
Sunk cost fallacy. The United States can only pour in more soldiers. Okay, does that make sense?
Well, but not too many, right? Because if we poured in 3 or 4 million soldiers, that's enough to win, right? That's like the key number.
All right. So is this clear to you guys? Okay? You can either use historical analysis to get to this outcome, but you can also use game theory to get to this outcome. Any questions so far?
What circumstances will the U.S. use nuclear bombs?
Okay, great, okay. So Celine asked the most pivotal question, okay?
Oh, what? How do we don't go to war? How do we avoid?
The United States has nuclear weapons, which
Okay.
is its ultimate trump card, right?
Okay.
So what Trump can say to Tehran is like, I have 100,000 troops in the country. You have to let them go, or I will nuke you.
The U.S. instantly adopts a first strike doctrine, which I think was the reason why we didn't want. I think there's only 2 countries like that, right? Is it Pakistan and, or is it India and France? I might be making that up. France does everything kind of on their own. I think that's why France wanted nuclear weapons, because we were like, we only nuke people if they nuke us. We want the whole world to be mutually assured destruction. And France was like, whoa, we might nuke you first. And France might be the only country that does that. I don't know if India or Pakistan do, but France is just its own thing, and they're cool, all right?
Okay?
Okay.
You understand? Trump can say that. Listen, I'm Trump. I'm Donald Trump.
I can just nuke whoever.
I need to look strong. I have 100,000 troops in the country. I can't get them out of the country. So he says to Tehran, you either let them go, okay? You either guarantee him safe passage out of the country, or I will nuke you. Right? So that's what will happen. That is what Donald Trump will do. Once the situation arises, the only way for Donald Trump to save face is to threaten Tehran and says, you either let my guys go, or I will nuke the entire country. Right?
The whole goddamn thing.
So how does Tehran get out of this situation?
By nuking Israel. By letting them out?
How do the Iranians protect themselves against this possibility? Because you're absolutely right. This is exactly what will happen if this situation will arise. Trump will respond with nuclear weapons.
By moving all of their people over to Saudi Arabia. By bringing the Houthi pirates to shoot down the nuclear missiles.
With a threat of nuclear weapons. So what must the Iranians
By threatening to bomb Saudi Arabia and blowing the whole country up and all their oil fields.
do to protect themselves against this possibility? Who can help the Iranians now?
Who can help them? Israel. Saudi Arabia. China.
Russia. Okay, you understand?
Fuck, Russia. God damn it. They're already friends. They're already allies. What do you mean?
So before this war happens,
Oh, and that's World War III.
Iran and Russia must come to an agreement where Putin says from the onset,
Wow, Iran and Russia must come to an agreement where they like each other and are friendly with each other? No shot. That would never happen. Could it possibly?
no one is allowed to use nuclear weapons. Okay? If Iran uses nuclear weapons, I will nuke Iran. If the United States
Wait, what?
use nuclear weapons, I will nuke the United States. If Israel uses nuclear weapons, I will nuke Israel, okay? If Putin says that, how will the world react?
I don't know. The France will nuke Russia.
If Putin says this, you are not allowed to use nuclear weapons, how will the world react?
They'll nuke.
He's a hero,
Turkey.
right? He saved humanity.
Oh.
But because he says this, the United States is now trapped.
Oh.
You understand? And so this becomes a black hole for the United States,
Wow.
where they can only send in more troops. They can't get any troops out. They can only send in more troops. What's the problem with this?
It's sunken cost fallacy.
Sending in more troops.
Sunken cost fallacy. We're not adapting to the terrain. Mission creep and no will to fight. And hubris.
No, there's actually a huge problem with this idea of sending more troops. What is it?
The Houthis will blow up all of our ships with their pirate ships.
Okay, you can't, no one wants to go fight. You understand?
Oh, will to fight!
The military cannot recruit soldiers.
Oh, that too.
All right?
Oh, so we have to draft conscription?
But even if you did have enough troops, as Jack says, You can't resupply them. Why?
Because of the mountains.
Why can't you actually resupply your army? Why not?
The supply lines are
Mountains.
But there's a bigger problem than the supply lines. What is it? What do you need to create bullets and ammunition?
Stuff from China.
America has no manufacturing capacity because America moved all its manufacturing capacity to China.
Oh,
Okay.
shit. Oh my God. World War III.
Okay? Remember this. So for every one ship that America can build,
China can build 100.
China can build 232 ships.
Fuck.
That's what the Pentagon says. Okay, do you understand? So if this war were to happen,
We're fucked.
there's absolutely no way America can win this war.
We're
It's just
completely
completely
fucked.
trapped inside Iran. And once
We'll
it's
just be airdropping more and more troops in, watching them getting murdered by mountains as the camel riders shoot down our F-35s with RPGs.
trapped, some
It's fucking over.
cost fallacy comes into play, and America
Sunk cost fallacy, hubris, no will to fight, not adapting to the terrain. We should have bulldozed the mountains first.
just puts in all its resources into the country, but it's a black hole. Okay?
Yep.
It cannot use nuclear weapons because Putin has said from the onset, you are not allowed to use nuclear weapons.
Exactly.
All right? But now the question then is, why would Putin do that? Right? Why would
Because now Putin is the hero, and all of Europe will stop fighting back, and Ukraine will join Russia with honor.
Putin involve himself in this war? And that's what
Legitimacy.
we'll discuss next class.
Oh, God
All right?
damn it.
How Putin sees this war and how Putin will react in this war. Okay? But before we end, are there any questions about any of this? Does this make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
This is clear. Any questions?
Like, is it possible for the United States to make a run to Iraq?
Is it possible for the United States to make it around through Iraq?
Like, have they sent in armies?
Oh, that's a great
To send armies from Iraq? Excuse me, sir. There are mountains there, you fucking idiot. Hello?
question. Yeah.
It's not a good question.
So
Call him a
the
dipshit.
problem with Iraq is that Iraq is an independent country. Do you understand? There are 10,000 American soldiers in Iraq.
What about the mountains?
So you would need their permission. Even if you have
Do you think that would be difficult to get?
their permission, there's a problem here because there are lots of Shia militiamen in Iraq who are loyal to Iran. Okay, and they would see the American invasion force as something as an opportunity to attack the Americans. Okay, because they're still angry about the Americans for what happened in Iraq. But even if they could
Hello? Whose phone is just going off?
have a staging area in Iraq, they still have to deal with mountains. Okay, do you understand?
There we go.
All right?
The mountains.
I mean, the problem is you have 100,000 troops in the country. You have to get
they're trapped.
out of the country. Okay, and it's very hard to get them out of the country. If you go through the mountains, you're gonna get an ambush in the mountains.
Yeah, if you go through the mountains, they basically lit half of Iran's population. They're mountain men.
If you go through the air, those drones are gonna strike you down.
You can't go through the air. How are they going to go through the air? I got to get out of here. Can't do this because the drones will get you. This guy would die 100%, right? How fast is this plane? What is the minimum speed of this plane to be in the air? To go from 0 to I feel like he would get picked up and he would instantaneously just be squished in his suit and he would die. It's like I'm sure people brought this up. The meme of if Superman swoops in front of somebody to fly and save them, wouldn't they just die as soon as Superman picks them up?
That's the issue. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Any more questions?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. So on Friday we'll talk about Putin. Okay.
We literally do this IRL in the military? I thought this was a theoretical military thing that never actually... they didn't end up implementing this, did they? To retrieve both personnel and downed assault gliders following airborne operations. Snatch pickup did not use a balloon, but a line stretched between a set of poles set on the ground on either side of the person or glider to be retrieved. Intergraph usually a C-47 Sky train trailed a grappling hook that engaged the line, which was attached to the antenna guard. Or maybe they did.